The Vogon began to read, a fetid little passage of his own devising. "Oh, freddled grunt bugly," he began. Spasms racked Ford's body. This was worse than he'd ever been prepared for. "Thy micturations are to me as plurtled gabble blotchets on a lurgid bee." "Oh!" went Ford Prefect, wrenching his head back as lumps of pain thumped through it. He could dimly see Arthur lolling and rolling in his seat. He clenched his teeth. "Group, I implore thee," continued the merciless Vogon, "my foonting turling dromes." His voice was rising to a horrible pitch of impassioned stridency. "And hooptiously drangle me with crinkly handle whortles, or I will rend thee into gobberworts with my blurgle cruncheon. See if I don't!" "Ah!" cried Ford Prefect, and threw one last final spasm as the electronic enhancement of the last line caught him full blast across the temples. He went limp. Arthur lolled. "Now, Earthlings," whirred the Vogon. He didn't know that Ford Prefect was, in fact, from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Betelgeuse and wouldn't have cared if he had. "I present you with a simple choice. Either die in the vacuum of space, or—" He paused for melodramatic effect. "Tell me how good you thought my poem was." He threw himself backwards in a huge, leathery, bat-shaped chair and watched them. He did the smile again. Ford was rasping for breath. He rolled his dusty tongue across his parched mouth and moaned. Arthur said brightly, "Actually, I quite liked it." Ford turned and gaped. Here was an approach that simply had not occurred to him. The Vogon raised a surprised eyebrow that effectively obscured his nose, and was therefore no bad thing. "Oh, good," he whirred in considerable astonishment. "Oh, yes," said Arthur. "I thought that some of the metaphysical imagery was particularly effective." Ford continued to stare at him, slowly organizing his thoughts around this totally new concept. Were they really going to be able to bare-face their way out of this? "Yes, do continue," invited the Vogon. "Oh, and, interesting rhythmic devices, too," continued Arthur, "which seem to counterpoint the, he floundered. Ford leaped to his rescue, hazarding, "Counterpoint the surrealism of the underlying metaphor of the, He floundered too, but Arthur was ready again. "Humanity of the Vogonity," Ford hissed at him. "Oh, yes. Vogonity, sorry. Of the poet's compassionate soul." Arthur felt he was on a home stretch now, which can rise through the medium of the verse structure to sublimate this, transcend that, and come to terms with the fundamental dichotomies of the other. He was reaching a triumphant crescendo, and one is left with profound and vivid insight into, which suddenly gave out on him. Ford leaped in with the coup de grace. "Into whatever it was the poem was about," he yelled, out of the corner of his mouth. "Well done, Arthur. That was very good."